what I did to get my period back, all the steps I took, all the changes I made. So if you're interested in that and want to learn more about how I got my period back, stick around and let's get to it. Hey guys, I hope you are all doing well. Honestly, it is really weird filming a YouTube video again because it's been quite a while since I did my last video, which was all about why I'm trying to gain weight to heal my hypothalamic amenorrhea. And if you follow me on Instagram, which is Live Label Free, you know that my camera has been in repair for quite a while now, so I finally got it back after like several months. So I'm super excited to be filming again and just having it back so I can share my daily life and share how I'm doing. And today this video is going to be all about what I did to heal my hypothalamic amenorrhea and basically what I did to get my period back. So if you watched my last video, I'm trying to gain weight, you know that a couple months ago I opened up about the fact that I was struggling with hypothalamic amenorrhea, which is basically just the loss of your period due to like stress, over exercise, not enough food. There's a lot I mentioned in that last video what hypothalamic amenorrhea is. So if you don't know what that is, and if you want to know more about my journey without having a period and kind of what my action plan was to get my period back, I highly recommend you check out that video. But in this video, I am going to share all the exact things I did and basically what I did to get my period back, because I got it back a little less than a month ago, and I also shared this on my Instagram. So follow me there if you kind of want more information on like my everyday life. But for now, we're going to be talking about what I did to get my period back, all the steps I took, all the changes I made. So if you're interested in that and want to learn more about how I got my period back, stick around and let's get to it. So as I mentioned in my last video, the last couple months, like the beginning of this year, I had been feeling like really fatigued, and I had been sleeping pretty badly and just having low energy, and it also just was very clear to me that my body was not in a place where it needs to be, because obviously I wasn't having my period, which is quite dangerous. So I made a plan to gain weight and basically do everything I need to get my period back. So I read the book No Period Now What by Nicola J. Rinaldi, all about what hypothalamic amenorrhea is, why people get it, causes of it, and what you can do to get it back. So basically what I did to get my period back is I followed pieces of advice in that book, and I just want to give a disclaimer that healing hypothalamic amenorrhea and getting your period back is going to look different for everyone. The lifestyle changes you may need to make, the kind of foods you need to eat, how you need to approach exercise, it will look different for every single person. So I just want to do a disclaimer that this is simply my experience with getting my period back after several years of not having it. And my experience is not your experience, so what I did may not work for you, and what you may need to do to get your period back may not be exactly what I did. So I'm just sharing my story with it, and I hope it inspires you in some way or another. And I mean, take what you need and leave what you don't, as with everything, as with all my blog posts, with my recipes. This is simply my story. So when I made that video 2 months ago about what I was going to do to get my period back, I mentioned that I had just been feeling really tired and fatigued and just not sleeping very well, as I mentioned. And when I went to The Hague and took a vacation, because I just felt very burnt out, like I think it was in August, July, August. I went to The Hague and literally I spent a week there just chilling the frick out because I'd just been so overworked and just felt so stressed. And that's also kind of when I decided, like, I'm so done with like living like this. I'm so done with like constantly overworking myself and stressing myself out. Even if it's like work that I love doing, like blogging and Instagram and coaching and inspiring, I was just kind of working myself to my limit, if that makes sense. So that's also when I kind of realized like I'm going to take charge of my health again. And while I was in The Hague, because I kind of decided for myself I was going to take a week of, just like chilling out and kind of prioritizing myself and putting myself first, that's also when I realized that there was still a lot of rules that I was like living by myself, like rigid rules, that there were still foods that I had a harder time eating because they were so-called not clean and not approved by diet culture. And with my Instagram, I have been making this shift of veering more towards recovery, and I was doing a lot of that before, eating sort of recovery topics, but I kind of have decided for myself that when I was struggling, there was really a lack of that kind of information when I was in need of it. So I've definitely been making a shift towards just being more my authentic self. I'm definitely still sharing the recipes and all that kind of yummy stuff, but I think it's also really important right now to prioritize my story and what I can do to inspire those who are currently struggling with disordered eating or unhealthy relationship with food. But to do that was obviously very key that I continue to work on my own relationship with food, so that I could be my best self for you guys, because like literally cannot pour from an empty cup. And this mug says cup of love. I got it from one of my friends when I was living in Boston a couple years ago, so still one of my favorite mugs. So Esther, Evelyn, if you are watching this, thank you guys. I love you both. But when I was in The Hague, I kind of decided like, I'm so done with these like last couple rules that I still have in my head. And I mean, that's why I like to stray away from the word recovered when it comes to eating disorder recovery, because I feel like it's an ongoing process. Like, I'm constantly learning and growing every day, and like I feel like it's not a static thing, like recovered, because like what does that even mean? Like, I still have thoughts, to be honest, but I think what active recovery is being able to make the right choices every day, having those thoughts, yet not giving them the power to take hold of you or take hold of your life. So sorry I got off on a tangent there again. I just am really excited to be filming again. Okay, but when I was in The Hague, I kind of just realized like, I'm done with all these rules. I'm just going to eat whatever I want. I'm going to move however I want. I am going to basically take my life back again. So while I was there, I kind of said like, I'm going all in. I'm going to eat whatever I want. And when I was there, I really, really treated myself. Like, I went to the city, I got burgers, I got donuts, I ate like so-called bad food, but it felt really, really nice, because I realized like I had been restricting these foods from my diet, and that's also, like I said, when I decided, I'm just going to do this damn thing, I'm going to go all in, and it has a goal because it's to get my period back. So to get my period back, I generally just lowered stress like in all areas of my life. So obviously the food piece was a huge aspect, saying like, I'm not going to stress about food anymore. I'm not going to stress about like making the perfect choices, because in the end for me, my eating disorder was a manifestation of my perfectionism. So I decided like, I'm just going to generally be less strict with myself. And this resulted in several mental and physical changes, which I'm going to be talking about both in this video. So when I say I generally lowered stress in all areas of my life, let me say, I'm saying like I lowered stress around food, and I lowered stress around the movement I was doing, and yeah. So when it comes to stress around food, I said like, food isn't going to be perfect. Like, nothing in life is perfect. And I just kind of went more with the flow when it came to food, and really honored what my body was telling me, instead of like giving power to those thoughts of like, oh, but you should be eating this because it's quote unquote healthier, or oh, are you sure that's the best or perfect option, and kind of just really honoring my body and what my body needed. That's what I mean when I say I lowered stress around food, and also just really letting go of like timing of food, because for a long time my eating disorder was very tied to just having this really rigid schedule around food. So like breakfast at like 8 a.m. and like morning snack at 10:30 and lunch at 12 and snack at like 2:30. But it was just so exhausting trying to like fit my life around these food times, because I really wasn't living my life. Like my days revolved around the times that I had to eat. So I kind of really just let that go and just ate whenever I was hungry and whenever I was also mentally hungry, because that's just as valid as physical hunger. So I started doing that, and oh my god, I felt so much freedom. Like in the beginning, I've got to admit, it was definitely really difficult like navigating without this like rigid schedule, because I was so used to living by the schedule. But with all foods in the beginning, it's really challenging, but it gets easier the more you do it, because it's all about giving your brain new data points about just the new life you want to create for yourself. And then in terms of like movement and exercise and stress in that way, because in my last video I mentioned that exercise is a huge stressor on the body. I didn't completely cut out exercise because I just knew that, well, I kind of felt like that wasn't where the problem lay, if that makes sense. Because when I got my period back the first time around, I was also exercising at that time, and I just thought I would do this with exercise, and like if my period still wouldn't come, I would obviously make changes in that respect. But I think just being less stressed around my movement and exercise is what like allowed me to get my period back. Because first I was definitely doing, like, I just felt this pressure that I like had to move like every day and like had to move in a certain way every day. But when I said like, oh, I'm going all in and I'm really gonna honor my body, I realized that I was doing a lot more than my body actually wanted. So I was doing like a lot of like body pump and like body attack and just like high intensity like cardio strength classes. But when I decided I'm going all in, I am on this mission to get my period back, I also started trading a lot of these like high intensity cardio strength like high stress classes for more like lower impact, like where your heart rate doesn't get as high, just like more relaxing classes. So I've started doing like yoga and like body balance and eccentrics, and I've got to say, like, it has made movement so much more fun for me, because it's just really fun trying out these new types of movement. And for me, again, like just like with the food and letting go of the food rules, it was really like hard for me in the beginning to trade like my usual like strength workout for like yoga, because I felt like, oh, this isn't like perfect. And I used to think with movement that I had to be exhausted at the end of a workout to like make it count. But then I realized, like, why do I move? Why do I exercise? I do it because I want to feel good, not because I want to feel exhausted. Like, that's ridiculous. So now onto the physical and mental changes I felt. So just to summarize, I lowered stress in all areas of my life. So just let go of like more food rules, let go of these exercise rules I had for myself. And also when it came to like planning and schedules in general, so like school or like work, I also wasn't as strict with myself and just became more intuitive. Instead of saying like, oh, I need to get this done today to be productive, it was more of an approach of like, what do I feel like getting done today to feel fulfilled at the end of the day, and just letting go of that word productive. One physical change I noticed, which was primarily tied to lowering the impact of my workouts, was just feeling so much more energy, just having so much more energy to do other things. Obviously because I wasn't expending it all in like exercising and like moving. And I'm not saying like I was always moving, I was always working out, because that's like not the case. Like my exercise relationship has like, I couldn't even imagine having this positive of a relationship with movement than like compared to 3, 4, 5 years ago. But I just realized, like same with the food, that there were just these small rules that I still had a hard time letting go of. And when I went all in, I was really able to like let go of those last couple rules. So I was feeling a lot more energy. And what also really surprised me is that despite the fact that I was doing like less movement, so like expending less energy in the form of exercise, I was feeling a lot hungrier. And I think that this was basically my body realizing that now that I wasn't expending a lot of my energy, extra energy into exercise, my body was like, oh, now we can finally expend extra energy into like the process of the body, so like the menstrual cycle, and those processes, like repairing those processes, same as in recovery, like when people experience extreme hunger, you just get really hungry because repairing your body takes a lot of energy and requires a lot of fuel. So I was feeling a lot hungrier, and in line of like honoring that hunger and lowering the stress around food, I was really listening to that hunger, and I was eating a lot more. And I never really tracked calories because that is just not helpful for me with my perfectionistic tendencies. And my eating is sort of really being a numbers game back when it was taking over my life. I know for myself that counting calories is just not helpful. But I definitely was eating a lot, and with my experience with counting calories and like counting macros, back when I did, I was definitely eating upwards of about 4,000 calories a day in the past 2 months. And like I said, my needs may not be your needs, and your needs are not my needs. So this is just my story again. This is what I did. And what I realized with being hungry is that I was really craving a lot more like carbs and fats, and especially carbs. So I was eating a lot of bread, like a lot of pasta, a lot of like sweets, dates, that kind of stuff, and like a lot of like nut butters and just like yummy food kind of. So I felt a lot more energy. And along with feeling hungrier and honoring that hunger, one of like the most immediate changes I noticed this like a week after being all in, is that I was finally sleeping well, like finally sleeping really well again. So if you watched my first video called I'm Trying to Gain Weight to Heal My Hypothalamic Amenorrhea, I'll link it in the description, you know that my poor sleep was one of my biggest complaints, and was also one of my biggest motivators to heal my hormones and get my period back. So this was really significant for me, that after a week of just like lowering stress and honoring my hunger and like honoring my movement tendencies and just honoring my body, that I was like sleeping so much significantly better. It was just also a huge motivation for me to keep going, because I was reaping the benefits so quickly. And sleeping better obviously also contributed to feeling more energetic, and along with sleeping better, I was feeling a lot more relaxed and calm and just less stressed about everything, which again is just that cycle of saying initially like, oh, I'm going to lower stress in all areas of my life, and then sleeping better and feeling more relaxed and feeling more calm just made it easier to lower stress again, if that makes sense. So I think it's just this like positive cycle that I got in. But obviously getting your period back and like gaining weight is not all butterflies and rainbows, as they say, and there were also some more like negative symptoms that I experienced. And I don't even want to say negative because that has a negative connotation, and but just things that are like were harder for me to accept. And one of those things was that I was feeling really bloated. and this happened like I think 2 weeks after I started going all in. I was just feeling very bloated and very full, and which was hard because it just kind of transported me back into like the whole time that I was like in active recovery of my eating disorder, that I was just feeling very uncomfortably full and bloated. But because I did go through that, it just made this process easier because I knew that I was going for the goal and I was keeping my eye on the prize, and that was to get my period back. And that requires a lot of discipline and motivation. So I'm really grateful that I was able to get through that, because being here now, being healthy physically and mentally is just, I wouldn't trade this for anything else. And another like less fun thing I noticed when going all in was that my clear skin was not as clear anymore. So I don't know if you guys can see, but I was just and still am just experiencing more like acne and that kind of stuff. And this is just a reflection of just hormones, you know, because like a lot of people, when you have your period, like you'll notice breakouts, and that's because your hormones are just spiking, and that's just part of it, you know. And I mean, a lot of people like to blame like food for their acne, like, oh, it's dairy or it's gluten, but I think that's just diet culture that makes us think all these things so that they can sell us like really expensive supplements and products that like heal your acne and like whatever. So I'm just accepting that it's just part of me and part of my body and just part of being healthy. So then touching back on the bloating, this went on for a couple weeks, just that feeling of fullness and bloating. I think it lasted for about 3-4 weeks, so about a month. But then after that, it started to naturally go down without me even changing my food habits at all. And like the place where I'm at now physically, like I feel like my weight hasn't been like this well like distributed since I actually came out of treatment like 3.5 years ago, which is just really remarkable for me, because it just goes to show that my body was really trying hard to like get me to this point of like the set point theory, which is like that your body has this natural like happy place it wants to settle at, and it will really do anything within its power to get you to that place. So me now like feeling this energy and just my hunger cues being so, I feel like normal, and just not like never thinking about food anymore unless I'm like eating food or like have to write a recipe or something like that, and just feeling so much more relaxed and calm and just intuitive with my body. I'm really comfortable right now with the place I'm at, and I'm not saying I love my body, because I think that's always going to be hard for us perfectionists, and especially those with a history of an eating disorder, and even those in active recovery still. But I accept my body, and I'm really happy with where I'm at, and just the fact that my body has been able to heal itself, and the fact that I was able to get my period back by just like making these lifestyle changes, even though they were hard, they were so worth it. So just to summarize, I just lowered stress in all areas of my life and just became really intuitive, and also just very bluntly honest with myself was in assessing my relationship with food, my relationship with exercise, and just really honoring what my body really needed in the moment. I think that's what allowed me to get my period back. So I hope this video inspired you in some way or another. If you want to continue hearing more videos about me, my story, also with regards to recovery from an eating disorder, please hit the red subscribe button and hit the bell notification so that you will never miss a video from me. You can follow me on Instagram at livelabelfree to see more like everyday life kind of stuff behind the scenes. And again, I hope that you loved this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'd love to hear what you thought in the comments below. So drop a comment, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.